you have a lot of experience in M&A. I mean, you spent a couple of years in strategy development, as you mentioned, traveling the world, buying up companies for a public company. So you have probably a lot more experience than the CEOs of other smaller fintechs. So you probably approached. So how did that experience? First of all, how did that experience help you when LLR came calling and said, "Hey, we want to buy you"? Well, how did that change the way you approach that transaction?
Well, I think one of the things I've learned over the course of my career is M&A is not successful just because the buyer and seller agree to a price. In fact, sometimes that's a recipe, for a lack of success. I think what makes M&A successful is a shared vision of the future, tight cultural alignment, shared accountability, and an understanding that M&A doesn't work just by handing somebody a check. M&A works when there's a check plus strategic collaboration plus shared execution. And so I think the thing I learned through my career is, like a marriage, it's not just about the ceremony, it's about setting the conditions for a successful marriage going forward. And so bringing that to YCharts, we, for the past handful of years, have been growing tremendously fast, but we've been growing tremendously fast while self-funding based on many, many years ago, some venture funding we raised. We've been constraining ourselves based on our cash flow. And we got to some great milestones, revenue-wise, cash flow positive, all those great things. But there's so much opportunity in the wealth advisor asset manager space. There's so much need for somebody to support them and their workflows that we said a change of pace, a capital infusion, the ability to engage in future M&A was going to help us best serve our market. And so that's how we got there, and I'm just thrilled with the partner we've found ourselves married to for a long, long time.
Good to hear. You want to be happy. At least this is still the honeymoon phase.
Yeah, but you know what? If you do your homework up front, I found that with my own marriage. If you take the time to get to know the person you end up going on a honeymoon with, when you come out of that honeymoon stage, it still feels like you're in a honeymoon. And yeah, we're in the honeymoon stage with LLR, but I sure do feel good about the things we learned about them over the past 3 to 6 months that says this is going to be a really nice marriage.
A couple of things. You use the word shared a number of times when you're talking about the transaction. Shared vision of the future, shared accountability, shared execution. Is that something you would recommend to other CEOs of firms looking for funding, that they want to focus on that shared, everything being shared between the target and the acquirer, or are there other tips and tricks or tips and recommendations you'd give to CEOs who haven't been through this before?
Yeah, I think my biggest thing is not all checks, and those are physical checks, not all checks are equal. You can go get funding from somebody who will give you a check and no more than that. Or you can get funding and a check and a partner in a journey that will inspire you, support you, push you, challenge you, and look for the latter. It's easy to get checks, but that's no big success. There's so much capital being poured into our space right now. The check is the easy part. The success story after the check is what's really important, and just never lose sight of that. And you know, if you're thinking of raising a round of venture capital, or you're thinking of taking on some angel investors, don't limit your scope to, wow, I got a check. Say, what am I getting in addition to that check?
Are they going to be a partner, or are they just going to be someone who's expecting their money back in a certain amount of time?
At least know what you're getting yourself into. And for this second phase in the YCharts journey, we had some terrific funding partners in our first phase, players like Morningstar and Hyde Park Angels and Reed Elsevier Ventures, et cetera. We had some terrific partners, and it helped us get where we got to. And thrilled for the partner, or the single partner we've got for this next phase of our journey.